We are back at the Apex in Las Vegas for UFC Fight Night Taira vs Park. And in this video we will go over all the picks and method of victory predictions that have been made so far for all fights on this card. And we start with the first fight of the night, which is between Piera, Rodriguez and Ketlen Souza in the women's strawweight division. Piera is the favorite with minus 225 in average odds, and with plus 185 Ketlen Souza the underdog. Rodriguez is the favorite in picks by the Tapology Community with 60% and 40% are for Souza. And almost everyone expects that this fight will go to the scorecard. Rodriguez is a bigger favorite in picks by the YouTube Predictions Channels. 47 out of 67 channels for 70% have picked her to win this fight. The best predictors over the last 6 months, only 3 out of 16 have made picks on this card so far, which is a bit lower than normal. So maybe they're not so interested in this card, or they're just later than normal. So unfortunately we have to do it with this. Anyway, 2 out of 3 go with Rodriguez and 1 of them went with Souza. For the best favorite predictors with their picks on favorite fighters in odds, only 1 channel out of 10 made picks, which is Benny P MMA, and he went with the favorite Piera Rodriguez. For the best underdog predictors, luckily we have a lot more channels that made picks. 4 out of 7 went with the favorite Rodriguez and 3 out of 7 went with the underdog Souza. So some of them have faith in this underdog. For method of victory predictions, we have 0 channels going for a KO TKO, we have 1 channel going for a submission win for Souza, and the rest of them go with the decision win, with 32 out of 44 for Rodriguez and 11 out of 44 for Souza. The next fight is in the flyweight division between Rafael Estevam and Felipe Bunes. And Rafael Estevam is a huge favorite with minus 520. And with plus 380, Felipe Bunes the big underdog. Estevam is also a huge favorite in picks by the Tapology Community with 96%. And almost all of them expect that he will win this fight via decision. And we see the same results in picks by the YouTube Prediction Channels. 66 out of 69, also for 96%, go with Rafael Estevam. The best predictors 3 out of 3, the best favorite predictors 1 out of 1, and the best underdog predictors 7 out of 7 for Rafael. For method of victory predictions, we have 2 out of 45 channels going with a KO TKO win for Rafael Estevam, 7 going for a submission win, and 35 a decision win for Estevam, and 1 channel predicts a decision win for Bunes. The next fight is in the featherweight division between Bashi and Yannis. And Bashi is the biggest favorite on this card with minus 695. And Yannis has average odds of plus 480. Bashi is also the biggest favorite in picks by the Tapology Community with 97%. And most are expecting he will win this fight via submission. And the prediction channels on YouTube agree with the Oddsmakers and the Tapology Community. 53 out of 55 go with Bashi for more than 96%. And also all of the best predictors and the best favorite and underdog predictors go with Bashi. Now the only question remains, by which method of victory does he win? 0 channels go with a KO TKO win, 27 by a submission win for Bashi, and 1 channel for Yannis. And we have 10 channels predicting a decision win for Bashi. For the next one, we go to the middleweight division for a fight between Klein and Andrey Pulyaev. The slight favorite is Andrey Pulyaev with minus 160 in average odds, and Klein the slight underdog with plus 130. And this fight is super close in picks by the Tapology Community. 52% favor Klein and 48 go with Pulyaev. And most are predicting that the winner will be decided by a decision. But they also give Klein a slight chance to win by submission and Pulyaev via KO or TKO. The YouTube prediction channels go with the odds makers and have Pulyaev as the favorite with 41 out of 70 for 59%. But the best predictors all go against the odds makers, and all 3 of them have picked Klein. The best favorite predictor also went with Klein, and for the underdog Andrey Pulyaev, 4 out of 7 of the best underdog predictors go with him. For method of victory predictions, we have 2 channels going with a KO TKO win for Klein and 7 for Pulyaev. 12 out of 44 go with the submission win for Klein, and for a decision win we have 8 out of 44 for Klein and 15 for Pulyaev. When we look at the method of victory odds for Pulyaev, we see something interesting. The odds makers think it's much more likely that he wins by a KO TKO for plus 195 than a decision win for plus 285. But the prediction channels think it's much more likely that he wins by a decision than via KO or TKO. Up next, we have another fight in the middleweight division between Rodolfo Vieira and Tresean Gore. Rodolfo Vieira is the favorite with minus 215 average odds and Tresean Gore the underdog with plus 175. 83% of the Tapology community have picked Vieira to win and most predict he will win this fight via submission. And he's also a pretty big favorite in picks by the YouTube Prediction Channels. 55 out of 70 predict he will win this fight for 79%. And also, all of the best predictors and the best favorite predictors go with him. The underdog, Tresean Gore, is picked by the best underdog predictors only 1 out of 7. For the method of victory predictions, we have one channel going with a KO TKO win for Vieira and 3 predict a KO TKO win for Gore. But most of them go with the submission win for Rodolfo Vieira, which is picked by 35 channels out of 47 for 75%. And 3 have a submission win for Gore. And we have 4 channels going for a decision win for Vieira and 1 for Gore. The future prelim is in the bantamweight division between Rinya, Nakamura and Fletcher. And Rinya Nakamura is a huge favorite with minus 425 in average odds. And Fletcher the underdog with plus 315. Nakamura is also a big favorite in picks by the Tapology community with 82% and most are predicting he will win this fight via decision. But he's even a bigger favorite in picks by the YouTube Prediction Channels. 62 out of 71 predict he will win this fight for 87%. And all of the best predictors and best favorite predictors go with him. And the underdog, Fletcher, is only picked 1 out of 7 by the best underdog predictors. 7 out of 46 channels predict a KO TKO win for Nakamura. 0 channels predict a submission win. And for a decision win, we have 33 channels going with Nakamura and 6 for Fletcher. Opening up the main card, we have a fight in the featherweight division between Silva and Vallejos. And Vallejos is the big favorite with minus 425 in average odds. And Silva the underdog with plus 320. Vallejos is also the big favorite in picks by the Tapology community with 94% and most are predicting he will win this fight via KO or TKO. And he's also a big favorite in picks by the YouTube Prediction Channels with 63 out of 71 for 89%. And all of the best predictors and the best favorite and underdog predictors go with Vallejos. For method of victory predictions, we have 30 out of 48 channels going with a KO TKO win for Vallejos. 0 channels pick a submission win, and for a decision win, we have 6 channels going with Silva and 12 for Vallejos. Up next, we go to the welterweight division for a fight between Magny and Zaleski dos Santos. Dos Santos is the favorite with minus 205 and with plus 165 Magny the underdog. Zaleski is the small favorite in picks by the Tapology community with 55% and 45 go with Magny. Most are predicting a KO TKO win for Zaleski and if Magny wins, a decision win. So Zaleski is the favorite in picks by the Tapology community and in odds. But in picks by the YouTube Prediction Channels, Magny is the favorite, although a small one, with 37 out of 68 for 54%. The best predictors and the best favorite predictors have a 2 out of 3 and 1 out of 1 for Zaleski dos Santos, but most of the best underdog predictors like the underdog Magny and he is picked by 5 out of 7. For the method of victory predictions, we have one channel going for a KO TKO win for Magny and 8 channels for dos Santos. Only one channel went with the submission win for dos Santos, and for a decision win, we have 25 channels going with Magny and 9 for dos Santos. And here we see a big discrepancy between the oddsmakers and the YouTube prediction channels, because the oddsmakers think the most likely outcome is a decision win for dos Santos with plus 170, and after that a decision win for Magny with plus 240. But the YouTube channels disagree and they think the most likely outcome is a decision win for Magny, which is picked by 25 channels versus only 9 channels for a decision win for dos Santos. The next fight is in the women's bantamweight division between Karol and Nora Cornelli. And Souza is the favorite with minus 180 in average odds and with plus 150 Cornelli the underdog. Although Cornelli is the underdog in odds, she is the favorite in picks by the Tapology community with 71% versus 29% for Souza. But almost all of them expect that this fight will go to the scorecards. And also the prediction channels on YouTube go against the odds and have Nora Cornelli as the favorite with 43 out of 70 for 61%. Also the best predictors have Nora Cornelli as the favorite with 2 out of 3, the best favorite predictors 1 out of 1, and the best underdog predictors pick the underdog in odds Nora Cornelli 5 out of 7. For a KO TKO win, we have one channel going with Souza and 3 for Cornelli. we have 0 channels going with a submission win, and we have 17 channels going with a decision win for Souza, and 25 out of 46 for 54% going for a decision win for Corneli. And here again we have a big discrepancy between the odds makers and the YouTube prediction channels, because the odds makers think the most likely outcome is a decision win for Souza for minus 140 in average odds, and after that a decision win for Corneli for plus 215. But most of the YouTube prediction channels think a decision win for Corneli is the most likely outcome. The next fight is in the lightweight division between Elvis Brenner and Estevam Ribovic. And here Ribovic is the favorite with minus 255 and with plus 205 Brenner the underdog. In picks by the Tapology Community, Estevam Ribovic is the big favorite with 91%. And most are expecting he will win this fight by a KO TKO. And he's also a huge favorite in picks by the YouTube prediction channels. 66 out of 72 pick him to win for 92%. And all of the best predictors, the best favorite and underdog predictors also go with Estevam Ribovic. And for the method of victory predictions, we have almost half of all the channels predicting a KO TKO win for Ribovic, which is predicted by 22 channels out of 46. And only one channel picked Brenner to win via KO TKO. Both fighters are picked by one channel for a submission win. And finally, for a decision win, we have Ribovic picked by 21 out of 46 channels. So it's basically 50-50 between a KO TKO or a decision win. And the odds makers agree, because the odds are also very close with plus 165 for a KO TKO win or plus 180 for a decision win. For the co-main event of the evening, we have another fight in the lightweight division between Mateusz Rebecki and Chris Duncan. The favorite in odds is Rebecki with minus 215 and Duncan with plus 175, the underdog. Rebecki is the big favorite in picks by the Tapology Community with 82%, and most are expecting he will win this fight via decision or by a KO or TKO. And most of the YouTube prediction channels agree with the odds makers and the Tapology Community, because Rebecki is the favorite and is picked by 52 out of 69 channels for 75%. The best predictors have a 2 out of 3 for Rebecki, the best favorite predictor 1 out of 1 for Duncan, and the best underdog predictors went with the underdog Chris Duncan, only 2 out of 7. For a KO TKO win, we have 15 out of 45 channels going with Rebecki and 2 for Duncan. For a submission win, we have 3 for Rebecki and 6 for Duncan. And finally, for a decision win, we have 15 channels going with Rebecki and only 4 for Duncan. And then, for the last fight of this card, we have the main event in the flyweight division between Tatsuro Taira and Hyun Park. Tatsuro Taira is the big favorite with minus 350 in average odds, and Hyun Park the underdog with plus 270. Taira is the big favorite in picks by the Tapology Community with 91%, and most are predicting he will win this fight via submission. And we see the same in picks by the YouTube prediction channels. 60 out of 66 pick Taira to win for also 91%. And all of the best predictors and the best favorite and underdog predictors go with the favorite Tatsuro Taira. For method of victory predictions, we have 3 channels out of 42 going with a KO TKO win for Hyun Park, but most of the channels are predicting a submission win for Taira with 26 out of 42 for 62%. And finally, for a decision win, we have 12 channels going for Taira and 1 for Park. And when we look at the odds, the most likely outcome according to the odds makers is a submission win for Taira, but a decision win for him is also pretty close with plus 195. But a submission win is picked much more by the YouTube prediction channels with 26 versus 12 for a decision win. What might be some good betting opportunities for this card? The first potential good betting opportunity, we have Rodolfo Vieira. He is the favorite with minus 215, but is picked by the best predictors and the best favorite predictors 100% and the best underdog predictors 6 out of 7. So, for the money line, it's minus 215, but you can get a much better price of plus 135 for a submission win, which is picked by 35 out of 47 channels. The next one is the underdog Neil Magny with plus 165, and why I think this might be a good betting opportunity is because he's picked by the best underdog predictors 5 out of 7, making him a pretty big favorite. The next one is another underdog in Nora Corneli. She is the underdog with plus 150 in average odds, but she is picked by the best predictors 2 out of 3 and the best underdog predictors pick her 5 out of 7. And for the last one, we have Estevam Ribovic, who is the favorite with minus 255 in average odds, but he is picked 100% by the best predictors and the best favorite and underdog predictors. Although the moneyline odds of minus 255 doesn't look really good, you can get a much better price if you pick him by a KO or TKO win for plus 165 or a decision win for plus 180. Hope you enjoyed this overview of all the fight picks. If you found it helpful, drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to support the channel while getting exclusive updates, consider becoming a Patreon supporter or a member on Buy Me a Coffee. Thank you so much for watching, have an awesome weekend, enjoy the fights, and I will see you in the next video.